for listening. You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Moxley.
Hi, Carlos.
Hey.
How you
How
doing?
How you doing?
How's the weather treating you guys?
Just cold.
Love it.
Love it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm doing my best covering like a 3 or 4 layers plus the regular sweater and my hat, of course, because I need to keep this baby here, right here. I need to keep it warm. Let's talk Venezuelan.
I got that same spot.
Yes? Do you use any hat or something for the weather? I mean, if I don't use something here, it will give me headache. So how you been doing?
Cold.
Cold?
Yeah, instead to bring the dogs out, I bring the penguins.
The penguins?
Yes.
The dogs out. My name is Johsie Cruz, and your name is?
And I forgot. Alfredo Torres Fletcher.
Cat Fletcher. Okay, we are here in Let's Talk Venezuelan. Well, we are close to the Christmas season in Venezuela.
Yes.
And when it used to be, I don't know now because everything is so crazy down there south on the continent. Did you see all the chaos around the South continent? Starting with Venezuela and then following with Chile and now with Bolivia.
We have a big Bolivia.
Yeah, so it sounds like South America is on fire.
Yes.
You know, and everything got to do with the Venezuelans and the Cubans, the Castro regime in Cuba intertwined with Venezuela and the Iranians and the Palestinian and the Syrian. Oh, I love the hat. That's nice. So it looks like it's a big mess down there, huh?
Yes.
It looks like it reminds me when Donald J. Trump went in February to South Florida. I don't know if you remember those remarks that he says that the days of socialism are over, you know, with not only in Cuba but in Nicaragua and in Venezuela. And since President Trump declared those words, for me it was like he declared a war on socialism. It's like everything like took a fast paced, right? Fast-paced, those plans from the Sao Paulo group, the Foro of Sao Paulo, and the international socialists here working in United States in conjunction with the Foro of Sao Paulo and the communists. And man, we are on fire. Yes. Do you want to say something about Venezuela, starting with Venezuela?
No, I want to begin with a question for you.
Okay. Question for me. Okay, let me see. Go ahead.
How's your book doing?
Oh, yes. David, I'm about to finish my book.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
I have a question for both of you.
Yes, sir.
And this was brought up in an earlier show today, the Doctor's Lounge with Hal Shears, Dr. Hal Shears. And, he is quite anti one-payer system, and one-payer meaning the government, and the government getting into medicine more and more. And, like we talked a little bit, or Hal and I did, that we've got a situation today where people, whether people want to admit it or not, we're in a war, we're in a Cold War again with Russia or communism, however you want to say it. So from his standpoint, the medical standpoint, how is Venezuela, can you all give me just a little bit of history? 20 years ago, medicine in Venezuela, 10 years ago, and now since socialism, quote, and people have got to understand, in my opinion, socialism is one step away from communism.
It's a process.
It's a
Yeah,
process.
it's not like socialism's way over here and totally different.
No,
it's building
It's
people
building
into.
people into communism.
Into communism, which is showing off what is Venezuela today is communist. But Venezuela was in a process of socialism for over 80 years.
Wow.
And it started with simple baby steps. Okay? Social security, number for people, not an identity, just a number.
They began in 19,
Controlling-
that began in 1936.
And the 36.
When Juan Vicente Gomez, that was a dictator that came from a war, like Franco, okay? He rebuilt the country and he gave a national means to Venezuela,
So
okay?
how
And
is the
nine-
medicine? How has it progressed?
Well, let's go from that. In 1936, after 36 years of dictatorship of this guy, the successor said, okay, we need to modernize the country, the political
And they
systems.
copy?
And in 1936, the most successful politician was a German guy named
Adolf Hitler. So Venezuela start copying the system.
The system. And they began with a central bank.
Yeah.
Okay?
That was the first step.
That was the first step. And they copied the central bank exactly like the Bundesbank, the German Bundesbank. At that time, private banks were the ones to emit the notes, the bills, the actual paper money. Okay? And what happens? In that time, with the money that circulates was gold and silver. And people deposit that gold and silver into their accounts, and the bank take that money and put it into their safe, and they emit the notes based on what they had deposited there.
Okay, so the government came and took everything, steal everything,
And steal everything.
and that they formed one bank. That was the first step.
And they
The
said
second,
that's the national reserves.
Yeah.
But
they stole the money from the people. They stole the gold.
The second step was a national guard, but it's not the national guard that we have here in the United States. That is a different thing. No, they copy the SS, the German SS, to control the population. So first they took your money, your
money.
your wealth.
Yeah.
Second, they told
Your property.
Second, they stole
Your freedom.
your freedom.
Uh-huh.
And the third step was something that they named the identity card. So from that moment on, every person in Venezuela has a number. Like a number of the state, like a serial number, like
a card number, like a tag number,
like a VIN number, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then from there,
like the number that the Nazis put on the arms on the Jewish people, okay? It was so bad that if you don't carry on your ID number, and the police stop you, they said stop. Go to the wall, they pat you, and if you don't have that identity card, you go to jail. So
the control is, you see how they start controlling by little and intensify until they got to the medical part.
And they began with the universities to
institution.
They began to put Marxist teachers into that thing, especially into the medical field, and they create the social security, but it's not the social security that we have here. They began to build a lot of infrastructures on hospitals and things, like in Mexico. It's exactly the same model, where they socialized the medicine.
Yeah.
the students of medicine, in order to be graduated, they have to pass 2 years in the field, okay, for free, in order to graduate on the university. So the socialism system works until the money dries. What happened with Venezuela? That they stretched so much that they became a poor country. That is what it is today, because the richest of nations is not what you have in the soil. The richest of nation came from what the people can do with the resources that they have.
With their creativity, with their imagination, developing their talents, research. That's what it creates wealth. That's why United States, when I studied the history of United States land, the soil of United States is very harsh, comparing with Venezuela, South America, Central America. You over there, you put any kind of beans or seeds on the ground and it grow. Here is harsh, is hard. So why United States being in this situation, having this kind of condition, why United States is the most powerful country in the planet, the most richest country, right? Richest country in the planet. It's because the people make it. It's the ability of people to develop their talents. Each one of us have individual talents. Each one of us have the individual imagination, creativity, and on top of that, we can develop companies, even starting the companies in our garage, in our, in the basement, in the business.
Of the United States is business.
It's business.
Again, today, what is the
Hopeful because government is the one who controls what kind of medicines to bring. They don't produce. They destroy the pharma industry, that the incipient pharma industry that Venezuela had.
Everything was destroyed.
It's destroyed
because the government took over, like the expropriation. Expropriation. How do you say it? Expropriate. They only confiscate the houses and the cars but they confiscate people's businesses, because remember, their mentality is, if anybody owns a business, that is evil, because that is capitalism. So the state have to own the business. So when this business go into the hand of the state, people who are in charge in the state, they don't have no knowledge of chemistry. They don't have no knowledge of physics. They don't have no knowledge of how many ounces here there to create some kind of medication. So when they take the business from that, they are leaving those people who got the knowledge out of that company. So that company, in a few days or a few months, comes down.
But
because they don't have the knowledge.
And do you know what happens after that? These people that are in power, that have the money, buys things in India or in China, and pays with that money to these countries the medicines that we used to produce by ourselves.
And then they make a monopoly, because they are the ones who only can bring things from outside and sell it inside. So they destroy the opportunity that you have as a businessman. They destroy that opportunity. They make you poor from 1 minute to another. You become from middle class to poor. You lose everything.
What about doctors?
Doctors, okay. Doctors, because the university is free university. Do you know Venezuela universities are free? Did you know about that? They are free, but you don't find in Venezuela research done, because there's no money for that. Only in capitalism, only in countries that they enforce capitalism and researching, and you can find those kind of advance. So what happened is, in Venezuela, the education is free. The government paid the teachers, and they build the institution. Everything is built by the government. But then the part of researching and the invention and the creativity, it doesn't work. It doesn't exist because the government is supplying for that. The government will not allow you to invent something because that will make you somebody. Exactly. So, and then on top of that, they are teaching them medicine or the socialized medical, meaning that the doctors are offering their job, their treatment, their diagnosis for free for the people who come in to see them. So when you look at the payments, monthly payment the doctors are receiving in Venezuela is
it's about $7.
$7 a month. That's what they do.
Okay.
We continue after the breaks.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mike Mizell. I'm a retired Army colonel and president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We meet in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Healing Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcvets.org.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Karuchak. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hal Schertz, every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. and listen to the Doctor's Lounge, where you get a private insight into the conversations that doctors have amongst themselves. Join us Thursday, 8 a.m. every week.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And welcome back to Let's
Talk Venezuelan.
Sorry about that.
I talk. I stepped on your line.
Sorry about that. So, continue talking about the doctors. We will find doctor services. You know, that's a service. Taking care of patients, diagnosing, giving the diagnose, giving the treatment, diagnose and the sickness and the treatment for the sickness. But then there is another thing coming along with it. The person come out from the hospital or from the clinic or from the doctor office, and then the problem is where I'm going to find this medication the doctor just prescribed me. Because the medicine, like Carlos says, is the whole production is destroyed. There's no medication. So as simple as treating a fever or infection, a lot of people...
Even an aspirin is impossible.
It's impossible.
Sometimes it's an impossible task.
To get an aspirin, yes.
To get an aspirin.
Yeah.
Oh, so, well, this is proof positive that socialism is just fantastic, and every country ought to have it. And as we move towards it, it'll just make the United States that much better and that much greener as people die and fertilize the ground.
Yes. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's the illusion Ethiopia. And then if you go as a patient to Cuba, of course, Cuba is going to give you the best treatment. But the treatment that people are receiving in Cuba as a visitor, as a tourist, or as a medical visitor, as a sickness visitor, is different from the people who are living in the island. Okay, Cuban people, regular citizens from Cuba, they do not have the same treatment the Cuban government are giving these people
there's
from
an
other
easy
countries.
answer to that. Call money.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Actually, the Cuban regime, they send a lot of people to study to become doctor specialists to Spain and Europe, and they go back to live in the island, just working for these people to maintain them in health, to check them up, to make sure that these leaders are in good health, in good condition, so they can keep going with the same system. Guarantee for them that they're going to be living a good life along with those leaders because they are doctors. Okay? But the regular population, regular citizens, Cuban, most of them are in the hospital and they are dying with cancer, dying with high blood pressure.
In Venezuela, if you want to go to the hospital, you have to bring your pillows. You have to bring the sheets for the bed. You have to bring even your cotton, everything.
Your gauze, the cotton, everything.
Everything.
If you're gonna have a surgery or something like that, you have to bring all that stuff to provide it to the doctor so he can do a surgery on you. So why? Because the medicine and the doctors and the hospitals and the emergency rooms are in charge of the government. It's different in the United States. You know, the United States, the hospitals are private. I haven't seen yet any hospital ruled by the government unless it's the VA.
And look what a disaster.
And look at the disaster of the VA.
administration.
VA is just an example how government can run an entity that is supposed to be for helping a health system. You know,
Yeah.
people
Oh,
are
yeah.
waiting 8 months, 9 months, 10 months for a doctor to see them, and they are dying like
And
2 months
this
later.
and this brings us to what is right now the big news in South America. That is the renounce of the president of Bolivia and his vice president, okay, in a process that took almost 22 days. The people said enough of communists, and they stopped the whole country for 22 days. But this process began in 2016. The constitution of Bolivia said that the president can be elected for 5 years with only one re-election. So the president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, wanted to stay in power, and he asked for a referendum, and he lost the referendum. Okay, and what happened? 2 years ago, the Constitutional Court says that specifically article on the Constitution, simple, you have to ignore that specific article because they say so. So the president went into an election this month in October, and it happens that he cheated on that election. He lost the election, but you know what happens when
Fraud.
he commit fraud on that election, and the fraud was so big that all the observers and even the people from the government of Venezuela said that in Bolivia they committed fraud.
It's sort of like the Soviet Union having an election for a president with only one candidate running, and
Exactly.
who else
They
are you
say-
going to vote for or not vote
but
for?
in Bolivia you have the other candidate, and the other candidate said, listen, you commit fraud on that, and the United Nations and the Organization of American States says that you commit fraud. And the president said, okay, I committed fraud, let's go to another election. And he says, no way. If we go into another election, you don't have the right to be on the ballot. And on that moment, the people went out of the street and paralyzed every street in Bolivia for 22 days until the president and the vice president resigned. Yes. So after that, you have a vacuum on the state because you don't have the president, you don't have the vice president. You need to have something very similar that happens here in 1974 when Nixon resigned and Espíritu Agni went to jail because of a legal problem. Do you remember? So we had to bring a guy who was not elected to be in the executive branch. We have to pull him from the Congress. Was Gerald Ford. Okay, he was not elected as president. He was not elected to be in the executive branch. He was the majority.
He was a representative.
But with that being said, it's still, as I recall, it's still in our Constitution. Nixon did not go out of the way to do anything illegal. It's in our Constitution.
Wonderful, because this is what happened. We are very near from the actual president of Bolivia through a very close friend. And I read all what the media said about this lady named Janine Áñez, that is the actual president of Bolivia. But what happens? The press, the fake news, said that she appointed herself as president of Bolivia. And no. She asked the Constitutional Court of what to do. And what to do is that the Constitutional, I have here the original paper from the Constitutional Tribunal Constitucional Plurinacional de Bolivia, that is based in Sucre. It's another city, not the capital city. Okay, what they said is the following. They made a declaration before this lady took the presidency, and says, declaration release of the Constitutional Court of the Plurinational State of Bolivia. Faced with a presidential succession originated in the vacancy of the President of the Republic caused by resignation of the head of state and not of an act of proclamation, not requiring law or congressional resolution. Consequently, for the presidential succession, Article 169.1 shall apply. So I brought the article, and it says, in case of impediment or definitive absence of the president of the state, it will be replaced in office by the vice president. And in the absence of this one, by the president of the Senate. This lady was the actual president of the Senate. So she doesn't need to have no declaration, no law, just taking the power because it's what the Constitution of Bolivia said. So this is one of the fake news. This is one of the what's the name of public relation? No, PR is perception, the wrong perception of reality that the fake media from BBC, CNN, all this crap media is showing to the world. Okay? And she only follows what the Constitution said. The president is not here, vice president is not here, I am the head of the Senate.
Being like the pro tem of the House.
Exactly.
So instead of the Senate, it's the
Yes, because in the United States, the vice president is the president of the Senate. But in Bolivia, you have the president, the vice president, and a president of the Senate. She was the president of the Senate. So she immediately brought a Bible, and she swore to be to be president of Bolivia. And that what happens. It's not that she appointed herself. It's what the Constitution of Bolivia said.
But you need to understand that one of the main goal of the left, the socialists, the communists, the political Islam is to deride the information from the truth.
Yes.
And specifically attacking the constitution of each country.
Okay, it's 1:30 and we are going into the next break. Thank you very much.
Quick Steaks, that's Q-U-I-K steaks, are not just for surveyors. They are great for family and community gardens. Go online to www.quicksteak.com or contact your local land surveying supply dealer and get you a box of Quick Steaks. You'll love them every year when you plant your garden. Again, that's Quick Steaks, Q-U-I-K steaks, the truly preferred way to stake and identify what's in your garden now.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual, family, or baby boomer, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at MAGA45CAG@gmail.com.
I know what is going on in Europe.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the americasbroadcastnetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
So, we are in Let's Talk Venezuelan.
No, I think what you said during the break, we've got to address for a second anyway, and that is that we're literally, here we are, the most powerful country in the world, and we're being cut off from the news.
We are being isolated.
We are being isolated. And,
from the news, what's going on in Europe, because if in the United States, instead of the news focus, instead of the news being focused in impeachment, Russia, instead of their give the news to the people what's going on in Europe, how the Islamists are taking over cities, states, counties, and countries, and how they are changing the face of Europe. Okay, if Americans get to see that, that will give Americans a warning. Hey, this is what's happening in the United States now, and what is going on in the south part of America, which is the South America, is just one of the many strategies and plans implanted by the international socialists, not only in Latin America, but here in the United States too. Because what's going on here in the Hill, in the House, in Congress, with this Socialist Democratic Party, because I don't call them Democrats anymore. I call them Socialist Democratic.
I think you could go on to say Socialist Communist, and ultimately that's the benefit is coming out communist.
Yeah, they are, with this impeachment, we don't have no foundation or nothing. They are distracting the people to see what's going on in South America with Bolivia, with Chile, with Venezuela, with Europe. Because bottom line, not only Europe is in charge, the Islamics are in charge in Europe, but Islamics are in charge in Latin America too.
And they had the truth for many reasons. For example, Evo Morales, the former president of Bolivia, who was the guy who was the main actor on the Cocaleros Union. The Cocaleros Union is the people who raise the coca, that is the leaf. So they said right now in Bolivia they have a lot of manufacturing plants of cocaine, and he's the one who sells the cocaine to El Chapo Guzman. That's why Mexico protect him and brought up an airplane.
Gave him asylum.
Exactly, and brought an airplane from Mexico to Bolivia just to rescue him.
So he's being asylum in Mexico.
And the president, the actual president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he says, "Oh, it's a matter of sovereignty, and we don't want to investigate the assassination of 6 children, American children, in Mexican soil by
the narcos."
The narcos. But he protect the guy who create the whole industry right now.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, listen to what Carlos and Johsie are saying. We have to, and if we're going to save the United States, in my opinion, there's basically only one presidential candidate. The rest, these other people and that stupid Schiff, like I call him on my Twitter, Adam Schiff is a piece of Schiff, and he's not worthy. He should be taken out behind Congress and spanked for lying. He's a bad little boy that all he can do is lie. Anytime he opens his mouth, it's a lie. And the rest of what's going on, a professor many years ago, and I've told this 1,000 times on this radio station, said, you don't have to worry about communists bombing the United States. They don't want to destroy their best asset. They're going to take us from within. And that's exactly what's happened in Bolivia, in Venezuela, and now happening in the United States.
Now in Chile.
And remember what Carlos Leder, the right hand of Pablo Escobar, said once, many years ago. Drugs is the atom bomb of poor countries against United States.
That's very interesting.
That's what he said.
Say it again.
Drugs, especially cocaine, is the atom bomb from poor countries against United States. What he declares that is when Ronald Reagan said, really, let's begin a war on drugs. And that war on drugs must continue. And I'm asking.
No, I don't want it to continue. I want it to quadruple. I want it to get 100 times better.
I'm asking President Trump to declare the narco industry as a terrorist group and began exactly the same thing that he's doing with Jihad Islamic or Hamas. Going into the heads and finish with them.
Is not there a petition in the Senate going on that direction?
Yes.
It's a petition in the Senate for to ask the President and United States, the Senate too, to declare the narcos in the border of United States being a terrorist group, so they can be surgically how you call remove.
Okay, let me throw out something here. You take what you've just said, but look at what is happening with where we are today with the opioid crisis. So you get all, your doctor won't give you a prescription any longer. Where do you turn? Illegal. Black market. And this is what you've got with the cocaine, with heroin. Heroin now, I understand from the show that we do on detailing addiction, heroin now is so cheap, almost anybody can buy it. I mean, it's even the thought of heroin scares me or
You go
makes
to
me sick.
Mexico and you see the whole South full of poppy
Okay, and then you go
fields.
one step further. After you get all of these addicts and all of these people on dependent on drugs, no matter where they come from,
Yes.
what do you got in reality? A zombie.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
got
that is
nothing in a body.
exactly what these poor countries are looking forward to see United States, millennials, people, Americans, especially the white. They want to see the white as a zombies, because remember, the hate for this country is so big. They hate so much United States. They blame United States for their faults. They blame United States for their destruction. They blame United States for anything happen bad to them. They blame United States. They don't want to take responsibility on their leaders. They don't want to ask accountability on their leaders. No, they blame United States.
You know, I put that with the same thing that I see the Democrats doing with Trump. And there's one word that covers it: jealousy.
Yes.
You know, there's not a person in the world, and particularly in Congress, or lady in Congress, if there is such as lady, if that word exists in Congress, that isn't jealous. It's not, they don't hate Trump really for what he's doing or saying. They hate him because they're jealous of him.
Yes.
He has done well. He has done what he said he was going to do. And they're jealous that, oh my God, I can't get rid of him. Well, this is the same
They are
thing.
so upset with Trump because by Trump doing so good in his agenda, he's exposing their inability, or they're not willing to do what they, as a representative of senators or whatever you want to call them, they're supposed to be doing for their constituents. So by he doing well, that puts on them a standard that they are not only
They're not
willing to
capable.
do, they are not capable to do, because they are so tied up with corruption down in the bottom. They are so tied up with this company, that company, with compromise with people who put, for example, let me put it clear, the Islamic clear. You know how much money they put into Democratic candidates? They invested in the Democratic candidate through their members, millions of dollars to their candidates. Now, when Rashida Tlaib, Omar, and Andre Carson come and say something against the United States, the Democratic Party, especially Pelosi, won't be able to say nothing against or the three of them. Why? Because the base of their campaign money for Pelosi to be elected, Maxine Waters to be elected, Schiff to be elected, is based on the Islamic cooperation with money. So they are coming. They're doing all. We seeing them like a roosters, or like a chicken without hair. Making noise here, there, and then Pelosi don't even condemn them. Pelosi don't go and spank them, but correct them. Nothing. Pelosi is silent, and you ask yourself why Pelosi is silent when this thing don't have nothing to do with the Democratic Party. Why? Because of the money. You want to be reelected? You better be quiet, because in order for you to be here in the 2020, you need our money.
Follow the money. That's one of our sayings here at America's Web Radio. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm Ellen Deal, and if you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act, you can email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com to see if we can help. Small business owners, individuals, families, and baby boomers, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com for 3 easy questions to determine if you can get away from Obamacare. I'm a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry and here to help you for all your insurance needs.
Good morning. My name is Mike Mizell. I'm a retired Army colonel and president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We meet in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Healing Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcvets.org.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening. You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're here with Let's
Talk Venezuelan.
Okay.
And we may be changing the name of the show. I haven't told you that. Maybe we'll change the name of it to Let's Talk About What the Communists Are Doing.
Oh, that would be nice too. And the communists hand in hand with the Islam.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are working together now. They are trying to separate both, but no, we can see them in plain sight. Okay?
But it's that beef since the 50s.
Yes.
Okay? You have to remember that in the 40s, the Mufti of Jerusalem, the Mufti is like the general attorney of the Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He declares that Islam has the same values of socialism, of National Socialism. So he brought 2 battalions to Hitler. Okay? And that guy that worked for 4 years with Hitler and brought 2 battalions to the Reich, okay, then escaped to the Middle East, and he is the founder of the Palestine Liberation Organization. And he was
Arafat?
He was the Arafat's uncle.
Oh, so he was a Palestinian.
He is the one who
created the Palestinian. So
Liberation.
what nationality was him when he got together with Hitler?
He was under the protectorate of the mandate of the British mandate.
The British mandate in that area.
In that area.
Okay, after Israel became before he founded the Palestinian.
No, he founded after World War II.
Okay.
He escaped into Egypt, and he founded in Egypt the PLO.
Palestinian
Liberation Organization with Yasser Arafat. Yasser Arafat was his nephew.
Yeah.
Wow, get out of here.
Yes.
Really?
Really.
Why we are not learning this? Why we are not learning this?
And Yasser Arafat was born in Cairo, Egypt. He was not a Palestinian.
So why he was the leader of Palestine? This is all political.
Yes.
This is all political.
Yes.
This had nothing to do with those people.
You have to understand if you want to talk about what happens in Middle East, it's very simple. In World War II, England didn't have enough power to fight against the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, the Ottoman. Okay.
Okay, so they create something that was the Arab Revolt.
Okay.
With Lawrence of Arabia. I
heard about that.
Okay,
Lawrence of
Arabia was a British officer that organized all these tribes in order to race against the Ottoman Empire. Okay, but at the same time, in 1917, there is the Balfour Declaration.
Okay.
It was Mr. Balfour was the foreign relations minister in that time. And he wrote a letter where he declares that the Jewish people had the right to live in their part,
the homeland.
The homeland.
Okay.
Okay. And as soon as they take control of the Holy Land, the Jewish people will be welcome to be in their country and create a state by themselves.
Build a nation. Okay.
Build a nation.
Okay.
In 1918, just when the war was about to finish, France and England shared what happened with the
Ottoman Empire.
Ottoman Empire.
What
So they said, okay, Syrian is influenced by France. There is the south part of Syria that is the Holy Land and the actual Jordan, okay, and the British government says, okay, we will have this big piece of land, and we will divide it.
Okay.
Using the Jordan River.
Okay.
Okay, and we separate the Arabs from the Jewish.
Okay.
The Arabs will have from the Jordan River all the way to the east for the Arabs.
This one is Jordan.
That's Jordan.
That's Jordan today.
Yes.
Okay.
And from the
Jordan
River to all the
the
way
west.
to the Mediterranean Sea will be the land of the Jews.
Okay.
So in 1922 they create Transjordan, and I said Transjordan is for the Arabs, and we will put on that thing in order to govern that land the Hashemites people. That is one of the tribes that raced against the Ottoman Empire
With Lawrence of
Arabia.
Okay.
Okay. And after that,
Okay.
you have the Palestinians, the Jewish Palestinians.
The Jewish Palestinians.
And even they have their own flag. There was a Star of David, yellow Star of David, half white, half blue. And it happens. What happens at that time, at that moment?
Okay.
That the British never give them the independence to the Jewish people.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna butt in here a minute and just tell our audience, and particularly obviously now the ones that will be listening to the archive, and we're gonna push this archive. You've told us stuff that I've never even heard about. I couldn't stand Arafat, but I didn't know where he had come from. I didn't know any of the background. And, you know, Israel, they've been a country that sort of with all odds against them.
Yes.
I mean, and your story is just incredible. And we're going to put it out that people have to listen to this show. Because, like we've said, history repeats itself.
Remember what Rashida says a few months ago concerning that she had a breeze when she heard that her ancestors got together with Adolf Hitler, and he and her ancestors, this guy, did the Holocaust against the Jews. That's what she did lately. You have to go back to that interview, and you're gonna hear her saying, "I got a fresh air, like a breeze, like a breeze."
Like a breeze.
Knowing that my ancestors fought against those Jews, taking those land away from my ancestors when it was all the way around.
This was Omar?
No,
No.
Rashida Tablet.
Rashida
She's the
Tablet.
Palestinian descendant.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's a lot to talk about. It's a
Yeah.
lot to learn. But the question is, why are we not learning this in school? Why are we not learning this in college and university?
We're not even learning about World War II in schools anymore.
Exactly.
In
So
public
that
schools.
means their job with the Islamists and the socialists job taking over the schools and the school systems is getting very good at
effective.
it. Very effective. So it's up to us to do our own research. It's up to us to do our own investigation and learn what's going on with our history. Thank you, Carlos, so much for that brain of you. I always call him encyclopedia with two legs, walking encyclopedia. And we will be looking forward to continues talking about this next week.
Just keep turning the pages, Carlos.
Yes, and before leaving, I want to sing a love song.
Okay.
Okay?
You're not going to leave there. I'm going to step out and meet your guest while you're singing the love song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And, I'll be back in momentarily.
But I brought you the
I'll read it. He's going to go outside.
Okay, go outside.
Okay. Rosario.
Rosario.
A Venezuelan love song.
Yes, and Rosario, it's a love song.
You can come. You came yesterday as a fleeting breeze, and I stayed with your sweet look. Then I saw you clear night near me as love flame. Rosario, all the light in the world, it seems to melt in you. I saw you pass and traveling blush, and I wanted to talk to you, to talk to say I love you. Rosario, you are moon bouquet. What do you spend wishing to bloom? Rosario causes my life to kiss your mouth.
And the composer is Juan Vicente Torrealba.
Okay.
And Ernesto Luis Rodriguez is the poet that
From the
wrote
lyric.
this.
Okay, the lyrics.
And it said,
Okay.
pasaste ayer como brisa fugaz y me quedé con tu dulce mirar. Después te vi una clara noche cerca de mí como llama de amor. Pasaste ayer como brisa fugaz y me quedé con tu dulce mirar. Después te vi una clara noche cerca de mí como llama de amor. Rosario, toda la luz del mundo parece que se fundiera en ti. Te vi pasar como rumor viajero y quise hablar para decir te quiero. Rosario, eres rayo de luna que pasa queriendo florecer. Rosario, provocas mi vida a besar tu boca. Te vi pasar como rumor viajero y quise hablar para decir te quiero. Rosario, eres rayo de luna que pasa queriendo florecer. Rosario, provocas mi vida a besar tu boca.
Chun, chun. Continuamos entonces. We continue next week.
Yeah.
We're going to continue next week. We're going to keep talking about history. We're going to continue about talking about socialism, how socialism is trying to destroy our country. And it's up to us to stop this madness.
Okay.
All right.
It's already.
So,
So I think this program is broader than just Venezuela, isn't it?
Pardon me?
I think this program is getting broader than just Venezuela.
I think you're right, and it should be.